What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at my guide on improving your aim in 2020. If you're having trouble aiming in games, whether it's Fortnite, Apex Legends, or Modern Warfare, then the tips, tricks, and routines I go over in today's video will help you out. To start off, let's take a look at some basic tips for aiming. Before we get started, I'd like to make it clear that aiming is about click timing, not stopping your mouse. What I mean by this is when you're moving your mouse, you shouldn't stop your crosshair when it lands on a player. What you should do is keep your mouse moving past your enemy and click when your crosshair lands on them. For example, here's a clip from Hiko, a professional Counter-Strike player for the world-renowned organization Cloud9.
Sure that they won that round. Hiko is going to go for it. Freiburg will eventually fall, but it is too late. Gateron is going to be waiting. Hiko charges in, doesn't check. Oh, what? Oh my God! Inhuman reactions. Hiko.
Do you see what I mean? That clip was crazy. Coming in at tip number 1, I have a tip about your crosshair. While you're aiming, you shouldn't be looking at your crosshair. Instead, you should be focused on your enemy and use your peripheral vision to hit the shots. If you ask any skilled aimer about something to keep in mind while aiming, they will most likely say this. By utilizing this tip, you'll be able to pay more attention to your enemy's movement and be able to hit more shots. For those that don't know, there are two different types of aim: tracking and click timing. Tracking is a kind of aiming where you or your opponent is moving and you're aiming at them. Click timing is exactly what it sounds like, moving your mouse and clicking on your opponent when your crosshair lands on them. A form of click timing is flicking, like when you have your shotgun out. Flicking is moving your mouse in a fast motion to hit a target, which can either be idle or in motion. Coming in at tip number 2, we have finding the right grip style, which is the way you hold your mouse. There are 3 main grips that I will cover in today's video. Those grips are palm, claw, and fingertip. Palm grip is a type of grip where the majority of your palm rests on the mouse and much of your fingers do too. This grip is best for control, but not very good for flicking. Claw grip is a type of grip where the upper palm is rested against the bottom of the mouse and the fingers are arched. It's a great medium for both flicking and control. Fingertip grip is a type of grip that doesn't involve the palm at all, purely the fingertips. It's got the least amount of control, but is great for flicking. Now, there are many other different types of grips, but these 3 are the main ones that I'll get into today. For the last general tip, I want to talk about crosshair placement while flicking. A lot of times you'll see players trying to make a flick shot on their opponent by keeping their crosshair at headshot level and flicking their mouse horizontally. This is actually a very inaccurate way of flicking because for only a fraction of a second, you have a chance of hitting the player in the head. What you should do is aim your crosshair on the player's chest and flick up to the head. So now you're probably wondering, Yuku, if I'm not supposed to flick horizontally, then why did the professional player in the clip you showed do it? The answer is simple. Hiko had no idea there would be a player on the other side of the door. He wasn't planning to go for a flick. When you are unsure of a player's location, you should go for these horizontal flicks. But if you know where the enemy is, be sure to flick up from the chest. This is because if you miss the head, you'll still hit the body and still deal damage. The next big thing I want to talk about is an application called Kovaak's FPS Aim Trainer. Unlike Aim Booster and other online trainers, Kovaak's is a 3D trainer with hundreds of different scenarios that you can practice. What makes it even easier to use is that you can select which game you're training for and input your game sensitivity right into the app. Here are 2 routines created by Aimer7 that are really good to practice. The first routine is a tracking dominated routine, which means it will help improve your tracking. Each routine has 3 different scenarios to practice, but I've added 1 extra for tracking in case you feel like you're getting a little bit more advanced. Close long strafes is a scenario for practicing your hip firing on enemies that are close to you. The invincible version is a better alternative for more advanced players. I recommend practicing this for about 15 minutes if you're going to do the full routine. Fugla XY long strafes is one of my personal favorite scenarios. The target is harder to hit, so it's good for precision, and it introduces a little verticality. I recommend 10 minutes for this one. Vertical long strafes is a scenario that helps you isolate vertical tracking perfectly. I recommend practicing this one for 15 minutes for the full routine. The extra scenario I added is LG Pin Practice 360. It might be too hard for you, so try it if you want to. But you're watching a guide for aiming, so you must be a tryhard, right? All jokes aside, this is a great scenario to practice, and I recommend 10 minutes for it. A tip I have for this scenario is always aim for the little player's head so that you're more likely to do this when you're in a real game as well. Let's move on to the next routine. Here I have 3 scenarios that will help improve your click timing. For the first click timing scenario, I chose 1 wall 6 targets TE. You can't go wrong with this one, and it's a classic. I recommend about 15 minutes to practice this one. Tile Frenzy Strafing 01 is an effective click timing scenario and is useful for when targets are moving. I recommend practicing this one for about 10 minutes. One wall, one target is a great scenario for testing your visual reaction time, but once you're a high skilled aimer, this scenario will be useless for you, so don't practice this one after. You might want to do this one for about 10 minutes. That about wraps up the tips, tricks, and routines I have for today's video. Now I'm going to get into some accessories that you should definitely buy if you have the money for them. The first accessory is an arm sleeve for your mouse arm. There are only a few reasons why people use these, but I use it because I play games on low sensitivity and I don't want the friction of my arm stopping my mouse when I swipe to aim. Also, the sleeve only runs you for just under $10, so it's a really good pickup. Next on the list we have mouse feet. The ones that are stock on your mouse are okay, but the ones from third-party companies can be even better. Hyperglide is a great company for these, and I just picked up a pair for $14. The reason you should buy new mouse feet is to help increase the glide of your mouse so that it doesn't stop or run into bumps along your mouse pad. The last item on the list is a mouse bungee. Bungees are used to enhance the movement of your mouse and so that the cable doesn't run under the mouse if you lift your mouse up while you're aiming. My favorite bungee is the BenQ Zowie Commod, and it runs you for just under $25. There are many different brands that make these bungees, and it doesn't really matter which one you get as long as you have one. It's a real game changer, trust me. I'll leave a link to all the items I mentioned in the description below if you want to try them out. That about wraps up today's video. Let me know if you have any questions by commenting down below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. My spring break is coming up and I'm going to be streaming a lot more often. Here's my Twitch if you're interested. I hope you guys are all staying safe and playing a lot of video games. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!